This week, driving Arizona, teaching Tanzania, and clowning in California. La 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 Los Angeles, a city of many sides. There's the movies, the beaches, the high life, and in between each of them, a whole lot of this. With hardly any rail alternative, the traffic here drives the locals to distraction. It's led some of the bigger thinkers to suggest radical alternatives. Electric car and space travel guru Elon Musk has even started digging a tunnel. He envisions an Asimovian network of car and passenger carrying tubes underneath cities in the future. How boring. Meanwhile, back in the almost real world of Marina del Rey, a more modest way to reduce traffic. 2 electric cars that belong to a whole apartment block. Envoy operates a closed car share system. The vehicles can be booked out by residents only and used for up to 3 hours at a time. Now, this is not a car that you would use to drive to work and back because you would end up paying for and hogging it for the whole day. This is much more a car that you would use for convenience, for popping out for the occasional errand.
Yeah, we believe that if it's a 2-car household, we can hopefully reduce that to 1. Experts say for every shared vehicle, it takes 11 vehicles off the road. So we're working with developers on communicating that with policymakers in the city of saying if we include car sharing within communities, we should be able to reduce our parking requirements on new developments.
Envoy is just starting out and hopes to roll out to new areas in Southern California and then new cities across the US by the end of the year. And further into the future, Arik would like to see shared vehicles being available wherever there are large groups of people. Now, for some, this kind of thing is going to be an interim stop before we get to fleets of self-driving vehicles cruising the streets, picking us up whenever we want, and no one has to own a car at all. So how's that getting on? Well, here's Mark Chislak in Phoenix.
Ride-sharing company Uber has been in the news recently for all the wrong reasons. Its founder and boss, Travis Kalanick, has resigned after coming under pressure from investors following a flurry of public controversies, including complaints of sexual harassment and bullying at the company. Kalanick's departure comes after the dismissal of 20 staff who've all been fired as a result of the scandals plaguing the startup. While Uber's corporate culture may be in disarray, it is pressing ahead with an ambitious tech project. If you've used a ride-sharing app before, you know the drill. You have an app on your smartphone, you push a button and a car arrives and it behaves very much like a taxi. But here in Arizona, if you push that button, there's a good chance that the car that will arrive will be a self-driving car. The sunny university city of Tempe, Arizona is one of 2 locations, including Pittsburgh in Pennsylvania, that Uber is testing a fleet of autonomous vehicles. A host of sensors, including LiDAR and cameras, have been fitted to these Volvo SUVs. These sensors become the car's eyes on the road, informing systems which drive the car as well as trying to predict the actions of other road users and pedestrians.
All right, and we're engaging.
All things which humans take for granted, but are difficult for machines to achieve. I'm taking a ride in a self-driving Uber. There are, however, 2 guys in the front seat. What is it that you guys are doing here?
So in the driver's seat here, I am monitoring what's going on around me. I'm still technically a driver, being that this vehicle has to be taught what's going on around it if an event that the car doesn't know how to react to.
Yeah.
That's where I can take over.
Okay, so you're the safety driver, if you like.
I'm the safety driver.
Now you're the safety laptop operator.
Right.
So what are you doing here with the laptop?
From the laptop, I can monitor a lot of the prediction software, so I can see like where the car is going, where the car wants to go.
Yep.
So this is all feedback that goes directly to all the engineers, and they're able to then look at what's going on and improve for the next iteration.
So what you're hearing, the car is determining it wants to change lanes.
Yeah.
But other vehicles around us are too close, so it decides against it.
Okay.
And stays in the lane. Right now, you see it just change lanes there.
Over the course of our ride, the driver does take control for a short time, but the majority of the ride is performed autonomously. Uber doesn't publicise how often the human drivers take over though. It's not been plain sailing for this project. In January, one of the autonomous cars here in Phoenix was involved in an accident. Nobody was injured, but a self-driving car was left crashed on its side. And a pilot testing program in San Francisco was called to a halt after a row with the California Department of Motor Vehicles over permits for autonomous cars. On top of all that, Waymo, the self-driving car company owned by Google's parent firm Alphabet, has accused Uber of stealing trade secrets. Uber denies using or receiving stolen technology. Thankfully, back in Arizona, my ride continues without incident. I'm in a robot car, essentially. That's like something from a science fiction movie. And I'm a tiny bit disappointed because the car is driving itself without any hassles. This is like any normal cab ride. And Uber isn't alone when it comes to self-driving testing. The state of Arizona is very accommodating, allowing self-driving cars from Waymo, Ford, General Motors and Intel on its roads. We're several years away from fully autonomous cars taking to the highways yet, and it seems that the road to fully self-driving vehicles is still a bumpy one.
Some American freeways have carpool lanes, which you can only use if you're carrying more than one person in the car. The idea is those lanes at least are travelling at a decent speed. Well, now they are also planning similar lanes for autonomous vehicles, and they're calling them hyperlanes. The system will be controlled by a central computer and whiz self-driving cars along at speeds of over 100 miles an hour.
You would use access stations in your local neighborhoods, and once you enter the station, your car would start driving themselves, and they will launch them onto a hyperlane. After that point, the car would be able to drive itself, and you can just sit back and continue, sipping your coffee and check your phones.
Hyperlane plans to use existing highways to create these hyperlanes. Customers will pay surge pricing in order to ease congestion and arrive at their destinations as quickly as possible. There are also plans to use the service for parcel delivery and autonomous buses. However, to put even a test version of this in place is going to cost $12 million per mile. So for the time being, it looks like autonomous cars are going to be stuck in traffic with the rest of us.
It's time for this week's tech news, and boy, what a week. You thought Google Glass was dead, but it's not. It released its first update for 3 years. A US official from the Department for Homeland Security said this week that Russian hackers targeted election systems in 21 states during last year's campaign. And Netflix announced 2 interactive TV shows where you can pick the storyline. They said it was designed for kids, but come on, that looks fun. And could we soon be seeing the Queen in a G-Wiz? Probably not. But the Queen's speech outlined plans for petrol stations around the UK to go electric. It's part of a government plan to push more electric cars onto the roads. And more news for the UK's roads this week. Driverless cars are being given the green light to begin trials later this year. A collaboration between Jaguar Land Rover, Ford and Tata Motors has been showing off how autonomous cars can talk together to provide real-time traffic information. And what if you could tackle a Mario level while out and about? Well, Abhishek Singh has done just that, creating a Super Mario Bros. Level in an augmented New York Central Park. He created the whole thing for the Microsoft HoloLens, which unfortunately isn't yet available for the general consumer.
The abundance of everything here in the US is evident, and it's thanks in no small part to having one of the best educated and most skilled workforces in the world. And it is from right here that the XPrize in Education was born. Now, this is a competition that encourages entrepreneurs to use tech to teach. Now, the finalists have been announced in London this week, and Dan Simmons will take a look at some of them in a minute. But first, he travels to Tanzania to see what's in store for those hoping to offer something new to the next generation.
Sitting behind the
We're travelling a long way from any town or city to visit some of the 200 children in Taita village in northern Tanzania.
We are booting up the tablet, the first one. The interesting thing here is that most of these children, in fact all of them, have not seen a tablet before. But not only that, a lot of them wouldn't have gone to school even before, so the learning process itself is brand new. The whole program is in Swahili, so the local children can understand. I think they're going to need more tablets.
Taita is one of about 150 villages in Tanzania chosen as the test bed for the Global Learning XPrize. Within a few months, 4,000 tablets will be given out. The challenge to teach 7 to 11-year-olds to read, write and do maths over the next year. The most effective app will win $10 million. The prize here, though, will be much more valuable. Older children can walk up to 4 hours to get to and from school. For younger ones like 7-year-old Amina, that's simply too far. She's been lucky. She's one of those that's been chosen to take part in the XPrize challenge. At the start, she's not seen a tablet before, so she's not used to touching screens. And when it comes to reading, she doesn't know more than 1 or 2 words in a sentence. But John, who's with the project, thinks the tablet will help her eventually to read fluently. Back in the capital, Dar es Salaam, the World Food Programme is testing solar panel stations that will monitor the progress of each child when they recharge. That way, if a tablet breaks, the youngster can get a new one without having to start lessons from the beginning again. In London this week, 11 semi-finalists from 7 different countries were chosen from the nearly 200 teams that entered. They'll refine their software before the final 5 are chosen to go to Tanzania to start the year-long project with the children.
So the problem is that there are about 60 to 100 million kids who have no access to school because school is too far. And then you've got 250 million more who go to school and who leave without ever having learned to read or write a word. And these are kids in Botswana, in Boston, in Brighton. It doesn't matter. Kids go to school all over the world, and they don't learn. And why is that? And so that's the question that we're trying to address. You know, in our greatest desire, every single child on planet Earth has access to a world-class education in the palm of her hand. Every single child has his or her potential fulfilled. That is the dream, and it's not a far-fetched dream. It's possible.
We're hoping to be back next year to see how the teams get along, but for now, it's time to say goodbye. We've brought some biscuits to say thank you, and suddenly the difficulties the team will face when they arrive become clear. With just 20 or so tablets per village, there simply won't be enough for everyone to take part. To reduce potential jealousy, the tablets will be locked to only run the educational software, but everyone wants one. A village mama has been chosen to settle any disputes. And the scheme's partners, UNESCO, will be asking some other important questions about tablets too.
We are doing assessment of the social and emotional impact of such learning, because we expect quite some criticism from that side. We are engaging with the psychologists, anthropologists, educationalists to try to understand what does it do to the child. Is that an option that is ethical? Because children go to school, they are socialized also. It's not only the cognitive learning, it's learning much more, is learning to be part of the group.
It's just like back at home. Now they've all got tablets. They're not really talking to anybody.
It's my first time to see people's learning by using tablets. It's my first time.
So the scene is set. There's about 6 or 7 children around each individual tablet, and we've seen more. The education department from Tanzania is here too, looking at this project. So there's a lot at stake. It's not just $10 million. It could be the answer to the whole country's education problems, and even the whole of Africa's.
Virtual reality is no longer in its infancy. So here at this year's Sheffield DocFest, content makers are trying new ways of grabbing our attention. This is First Impressions, where I could see the world through the eyes of a baby over its first few days of life.
Why is someone putting a toy in front of my face? Quite unnerving.
The trend now seems to be moving towards how far we can go with the medium to make the virtual world feel realistic. In My Shoes aims to create a sense of intimacy.
I've been to some amazing places in VR. I've even had some workouts in virtual reality. But one thing that I haven't tried yet, which I'm about to, is the idea of it trying to create some sort of emotional engagement. Now, this is going to require a second player. Here I've got Oliver, who is willing to take part.
Very willing.
Thank you for doing so. First of all, we're going to pretend to be strangers, which isn't entirely true. We've met a couple of times. Then we're going to pretend that we're in a long-term relationship. Things are moving fast around here. And thirdly, we're going to be on a Tinder date.
Say something.
I can hear what he's thinking. Who wants that on a date? I'm actually the man. I'm a man on a date with a lady.
I'm not a murderer.
Situation's feeling a bit intense.
That's good to know.
No, but you know what I mean. You can meet people online and they can turn out to be murderers.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that I'm not.
Oh no, get me out of here.
I'll hold your hand. Do it.
Please do.
Yeah. He knows that. Look at that smile.
Oh, this date's terrible. Why are we holding hands? Oh, goodness. Goodness, no. This date's going really badly. Oh, crikey. It was really good fun, the experience. And I can see that it is possible to engage you in an emotional way. And I think the fact that I could feel that uncomfortable really was quite something. I wanted to get up and leave the date when it got awkward. And when you tried to hold my hand, when you know, we're acting. I was just like, no, get me out of here.
Meanwhile, here's something else to stir up the senses.
With your help to share our story, we can finally have our lands legally recognized as ours, and we can continue to fight these dams.
Commissioned by Greenpeace, Munduruku is the story of the indigenous people of the Amazon rainforest. And to help make it feel real, a humidifier, heaters, fans, and Grace, the sensory technician with some fragrances to hand, are all around.
Okay, that really smells like the forest. That's amazing. That smell is really good. I don't know why the chair's vibrating. I don't know what that means.
This project is part of our Amazon rainforest campaign, and we've been working with the Munduruku to try and build solidarity between urban and indigenous populations in Brazil to protect their land where they're facing huge threats from logging, from hydroelectric dams, and from mining. What we wanted to do with the multisensory side of it is really emphasize that sense of presence that you get within virtual reality. It's very difficult sometimes when you can just see something to really feel like you're there. We wanted to make it as vivid and immersive as possible.
Elsewhere, companies are working on the next generation of 3D sound for VR. This software is developed by a company called Dirac, whose audio optimization is already used in over 150 million smartphones. The sound is great, there's no question about that. And I could certainly feel like something was coming from a speaker over there and something else was coming from a speaker over there. Now this head tracking device, which is attached to the top, means that if I was wearing a virtual reality headset, then when I turn my head backwards or around, if there was a sound overhead, say, it should sound like it's coming from up there. Obviously I couldn't test that element, but long term, that's certainly the plan that this software hopes to be able to achieve. Yet whilst the experiences are becoming more real, the kit's still pretty bulky, so you're unlikely to forget that you're wearing it. Although maybe some sort of reminder of reality is still a good thing anyway.
Right, what should we play? What's your favourite game?
I think we should do
flags, and I'll take you both on.
That was Lara. And now time for some fun and games with these two clowns. I'm not being rude, they are actually trained circus clowns. But they're also the bosses of a company called 2-Bit Circus, and they want to build an enormous high-tech funhouse in downtown Los Angeles.
Protect that ball.
So we are building what we call a micro amusement park. It's a 50,000 square foot entertainment complex, all dedicated to the future of fun.
The future of fun. The future of fun. The future of fun. That's a catchphrase.
Well, you know, here's the thing. There is this period of time when tech comes out of the lab before it's ready for the home, that it's perfect for out of home. You know, you can do some VR in your home right now, but it is so much cooler if it's social like this game and has environmental effects and all sorts of
motion platforms, your friends can play with you.
Brent and Eric have been making high-tech games and showpieces for corporate events for a few years. Their planned amusement complex will be a permanent home to some of their greatest hits, along with new experimental, experiential oddities being developed by their team of computer scientists, roboticists and engineers.
We've got machines that can cut metal and can cut wood. We can prototype our circuit boards here. We have people writing software. And the beautiful thing about this place is that at the end of almost every day, there is something new to play with.
It's maximum fun. The philosophy here seems to be tinker first, think later. I don't actually know the point of this game. Neither does anyone else here. This is the ultimate play space and a great coming together of people with many different skills.
We are drawing on multiple industries. So we have a lot of people from the games industry here. So all of the development that's gone into sophisticated 3D game engines like Unity and Unreal, we can put that to work building immersive environments. My background and the background of some others here is in robotics and sensors. And we come with a completely different toolkit. But the combination of those two things makes programming around here really exciting.
But there's still one big build remaining.
We are standing right in the middle of our micro amusement park. Most of it is going to be a big open space. The kitchen will be in that corner. A 100-seat interactive supper club is going to be over there.
With $15 million of backing from companies including Intel and the Japanese Dentsu Ventures, Brent hopes that this 50,000 square foot space in downtown LA will become the first of many 2-bit circuses around the world.
You're opening in February?
Early 2018.
Okay, I think you've got a bit of work.
We've got some work to do. It's a little empty. You can see it's going to be a lot more fun when we're done. But yeah, from the moment we break ground to the moment we're ready to open, it's 4 or 5 months.
Well, if they can pull it off, this is going to be an incredible space and a perfect excuse for us to come back here in January to see how they've got on. Okay, that's it for this week. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook for loads more stuff throughout this and every week. Thanks for watching, and we will see you soon.